أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العظيم استغفر الله العظيم استغفر الله العظيم استغفر الله العظيم. My beloved pengarah Dr. Associate Professor Dr. Shahir, Deputy Director Dr. Azrin, Honorable Dr. Zakaria Bahari, Dr. Shukri, Dr. Shakir, Dr. Murni, Dr. Fazila Azmi, Associate Professor Fazila Azmi, Dr. Azrin, ya, Dr. Azrin, Dr. Wan, siapa lagi ya? Dr. Seriza, and then bakal-bakal doktor semua, insyaAllah. Selamat berjumpa. Thank you very much for your presence here physically, and I'm very happy to meet again physically here, inshallah. And it reminds me of the previous glorious times before the COVID-19, where we used to meet every month. And as Dr. Sai was saying just now, that whenever we meet, we wear the uniform then, apart from the white shirt for the men, and also with a jacket ISDEV, for the male. And that jacket ISDEV, I can still remember Dr. Ridwan kan, dia tak pernah buah jaket dia tu kan, dia sopan lusuh, dia suka sangat dekat jaket tu, orang lama macam Mariam semua tahu lah ya. But now we seldom see anymore, yeah? The jacket, I'm not too sure. Yeah? I can also remember that Dr. Shai and Dr. Zakaria always wear that jacket. Usually every month, once a month when we meet, that time everybody wear the jacket. It's very formal. It was very formal. And then very, very, many of us were there, and then we used to hold that at Dewan Kuliah A and also DPU, yeah, and the pengarah will deliver his speech, his tarbiyah, and alhamdulillah with that tarbiyah and other students here took the notes, and then kemudian became the policy of his party and all that. That's also very interesting, alhamdulillah. And with the intentions of Dr. Shai, with the Dr. Shai punya tarbiyah tadi, hopefully that we can revive that again, inshallah. And not only in this, we hope that many other brothers and sisters will come and join every month, and then we will have a nice and also good tarbiyah, inshallah. I was asked to talk about why Islamic management. I think it's very relevant, because the names of our center is Center for Islamic Management, and I can realize that some of our students do not really ada setengah tu yang tak sebut betul-betul lah. Some say Islamic Development and Management. Ada yang so actually probably the title is too long, the Center for Islamic Development Management. And then some things that it is something to do with development and management rather than development management. I used to tegur lah to an alumni. Dia punya dalam Facebook dia tulis nama dia, and then Master of Sciences, Islamic Development and Management. That's not right lah, brothers. Yeah. That's not right, because our term is development management, not development and management. So actually, this is why probably Dr. Shai and Dr. Azrin wanted me to talk a little bit on Islamic development management, inshallah, so that we can understand what it is and why we establish Islamic development management. So I purposely choose this kind of apa ni dia panggil ni, a kind of dia punya pamphlet je. Actually, I learned this from Dr. Azrin Hamiza, and this is the only thing that Dr. Azrin taught me to use the infographic. And alhamdulillah, there are a lot of things that I can use this, and this is one of it. So probably one wonders why I use this template. It's sort of a kertas koyak, kertas koyak terbuka. And this shows that actually I want to show that Islamic management is still within the bungkusan, within the bungkusan, within the. So we need to open that to understand why and to know what it is actually. So I have two things to discuss today. Number one is why Islamic development management, and number two is what is Islamic development management. I'm sorry, I'm speaking English today. Not as usual. During Tarbiyah Pengasas, I talk in Malay because I realized that not many many foreigners joined that Tarbiyah Pengasas. But today I can realize that our brothers here from Jordan, from Libya, yeah, and also from Indonesia probably cannot speak Malay very well, cannot understand. And also perhaps from Terengganu, kan? Terengganu is quite different from Malay. So that's why I speak English so that we all can understand. I realized that in the WebEx, and also there are a lot of foreigners also. Imam Sheikh Abdul Aziz from Nigeria, I can see that, and some other brothers there, inshallah. So let's go. What actually I mean? Why I established Islamic development management? I have four reasons why I established Islamic development management. Yeah, actually it started with religious awareness. My religious awareness. Frankly, I think I need to say that I found Islam in UK rather than in Malaysia. Yeah? During my time, Islam was not really revived in Malaysia at that time. There are a few Islamic movement in Malaysia and also in USM. But at that time, this is during 1980s, kan? During 1980s, dakwah tak kuat dan sebagainya. So, and then probably the approach to dakwah also is quite conservative. So it was not so attracted by me. But then when I went to pursue my studies in UK, I met with groups of people, with the dawah groups, and have discussion and all that. And then I realized that actually Islam is the best. Yeah. So I started to change my thinking from the so-called Marxist, neo-Marxist ideology to Islam. I started to learn about Islam. And that's how I realized and also aware of the importance of Islamic religions, and also to come up with something that I can contribute at that particular moment. So I came back here in Penang, USM, to start working here. And then I started to learn about Islamic-based development, with the intention to save the intellectuals. Yeah? The intellectual here includes the lecturers and also the students from non-Muslim thinking, especially at that particular moment. The dominant ideology was the Marxist, neo-Marxist, socialistic, and also communistic thinking. It was quite nice, actually, to be a Marxist or non-Marxist, because we can be very critical of everything. Yeah. Masa tu kita muda, and it's nice criticizing people, and to get to know what's wrong with them. So we criticize. Masa tu seronok lah kan. But then I realized that actually that is not the right way. You need to propagate rather than to criticize. And then the propagation should be based on Islam, on the Islamic doctrines and also Islamic teachings. So that's how it changed, from UK back to Penang, and then started to work on Islamic-based development, because my field of study is development studies, rural development, and also the development study as a whole. So when you come back and you see the obsessions of the students and lecturers on radical thinking, radical ideologies, that leads you to have a kind of semangat there to save them, to save them from the Western ethnocentric thinking or Eurocentric thinking, because all that thinkings are from Western, especially in European thinkings. So, and apart from trying to save the intellectuals from the Western ethnocentric thinking, we need to provide an alternative, to replace that kind of thinking with a holistic Islamic thinking, inshallah. Yeah, can you understand, brother? Bila nampak muka berkerut, try to understand kan? Alhamdulillah. All right. So I try to provide a kind of holistic thinking. I think development studies is the best Islamic thinking, because development encompasses all aspects of life of human beings. Yeah, from economic, social, cultural, politics, and so forth. So that's why I concentrate on Islamic-based development, and not Islamic development management as yet. I started with the Islamic-based development first, but then later on I realized that actually when you talk about Islamic-based development, but not talking about how to manage the Islamic-based development, it is inadequate, insufficient. So that's why we need to establish a field which we call the management of Islamic development, or Islamic development management, because Islamic-based development per se, saja-saja Islamic-based development, pembangunan masyarakat Islam saja, that's not enough. That is not enough. We need to manage that in order to realize, or to make it happen practically, inshallah. Yeah, that's why now we want to be a hands-on, practical and applicable kind of field that we can use at the ground level to revive Islam, and also to prove that Islam is a beautiful religion which can come, which can entail with prosperity for the whole ummah, inshallah. That's how it happens. Yeah, religious awareness from UK back to Penang, try to realize that through kind of intellectual discourses by introducing Islamic-based development. And Islamic-based development is a holistic thinking, and then because it encompasses all aspects of human's life, and then from there, in order to be a hands-on, applicable, and also a practical field, then therefore we need to introduce, to go further, to manage the Islamic-based development, rather than to just discuss about Islamic-based development per se, right? This is how it happens. That's why we introduce Islamic-based development. But then probably one wonders, what is meant by Islamic development management? So simply, we can say that actually Islamic development management is just to manage development, yeah, in an Islamic way. Why manage development in an Islamic way? Because we want to fulfill the functions of human beings. The function of human beings as to fulfill the functions of human beings as Khalifatullah, the vicegerent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also to serve Allah as a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Using natural resources that have been created by God, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also provided to us as a means of productions, yeah, based on Tawheed, Fiqh, and also Tasawwuf. So taking account the three worlds time scale, the world of Malakut, present world, and also the world hereafter, and to achieve the ultimate aims of the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So matlamat akhirnya ialah untuk mardatillah, to get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is basically the very rough meanings of the Islamic development management. Apart from that, in order to have a real Islamic development management, which is based on real Islamic teachings and doctrines, so we have to redefine Yeah, all the concepts that are related to it. Definitely the first concept that we need to redefine is development. So as opposed to the conventional development, so we define development as a kind of Islamic, a kind of development which is based on Islamic doctrines, Islamic doctrines, which encompasses the whole aspects of human life, from our inner aspects or our spiritual inner aspects in ourselves, up to the aspects of the management of our family, our society, our community, our state, and also our universe. So it starts from below, from within ourselves, up to the universe. So at all levels, development works within that kind of mechanism. Yeah, and also we redefine management as opposed to the conventional management. Redefine management as an obligatory and obligations for all human beings, because human beings were created by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Yeah, through functions, the very functions of human beings are actually managers. When we talk about Khalifatullah, vice president of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, wakil Allah di atas muka bumi ini. Allah minta supaya kita menguruskan muka bumi ini. Allah wants us to manage this world as representative of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in all aspects of life at all levels. At all levels, yeah. So redefine that. We open the horizon. We broaden the horizons of development, also the horizons of management. Also, apart from being the managers, as is already ditetapkan oleh Allah Subhanahu wa Taala ke atas semua kita, we need to undertake that responsibility, that function, as a servant of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So kita di peringkat hablum min Allah, we are the servants of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Wa di peringkat hablum minan nas, we are the vice-president of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, who have to manage this world, inshallah, this present world. All right. So apart from that, we also need to redefine all concepts: the concept of poverty, the concept of justice, the concept of cleanliness, and also a concept including the assumptions of development. Yeah, we always criticize that the assumptions of the conventional development theories, which assume the resources are scarce, while the wants of the human beings are unlimited. We said that it is wrong. We redefine that by saying that physically, yes, natural resources are scarce. But then when we talk from the Islamic perspective, actually there are concepts of risk, the concept of barakah, and therefore we can conclude that actually in real hakikat, in reality, resources are not scarce because Allah has fixed our respective risk, inshallah. Yeah? And then also whether our wants are unlimited or not, it is based on our nafs, the level of our nafsu. Yeah? If our nafs are low, like amarah, lawama, malhamah, and therefore we have the unlimited wants, while if we have a higher nafs, like mutmainnah, radiyah, mardiyah, and kamilah, and inshallah, our nafs are very limited, and we consume according to our needs rather than to our wants. Yeah, and if not, through the age, you will find that actually your consumption level will have to reduce a bit by bit. Yeah, I have experience in this personally. Actually, before this, I like nasi kandar very much, and in fact, almost every week I have to take the nasi kandar. I think sometimes more than once. Yeah, every week, and then we try to go to nasi kandar. But I just wonder why now my consumption of nasi kandar is very limited. When you see nasi kandar, you feel, aduh, tak lalu nak makan dah, tak lalu nak makan dah, nak uhai dia campur dengan semua dia punya rempah, that kind of things. Kalau nak makan tu, you have to separate. So I always ask my children to buy nasi separate from the lauk. So I can blend the lauk sikit-sikit sajalah. So the nasi kalau banyak-banyak campur tu semua tu rasa dah tak boleh. I think this is not because of iman taqwa, no. It's just because Allah wants Allah wants you to take a little nasi kandar probably for your health or not. For your health ke apa ke, kita tak tahu lah kan. But that's how the consumption happen. But if you are young, but your consumption is less because your wants are limited, that shows that your iman is high, your nafs is high, and then that is good. So we redefine all this, and that's why we don't really happy. We are not really happy with, say, for instance, the arguments that are saying Singapore is much more Islamic than Malaysia, or Japan is much more Islamic than us in Malaysia or in Indonesia. By saying the factors of cleanliness, for instance, because the concept of cleanliness from the conventional perspective is very much different from Islamic perspective. Because in Islam, we talk about taharah rather than cleanliness, And dengan taharah pula, kita dah ada lagi nanti air mutlak, air mutma'ah, air musta'mal, bukan air mutma'innah kan, air musta'mal, dan air butan najis and all that, So the concept of cleanliness. So the concept of poverty, justice, all that, we have to redefine all that, So the second step, apart from understanding the meaning of Islamic development management, we also need to redefine. So that's why in our thesis, we always say that redefines that from Islamic perspective and used as much as possible Islamic theories rather than the conventional theories. All right, number 3, we need to construct our Islamic development management from within the Islamic paradigms. From within the Islamic paradigm, meaning that from the Islamic philosophical and also epistemological underpinnings. That's why in ISDEV, from the outset, from the beginning, we introduce a course by the name of Islamic epistemology and tasawwur. And I purposely asked Dr. Skena to specialize epistemology and Dr. Shukri in tasawwur. And Alhamdulillah, they are now specialists in that epistemology and tasawwur, bukan tasawwur, ini jangkit Dr. Z punya lidah. So, tasawwur. That's right. So all our master students need to sit. It is compulsory for them to sit in this course, the epistemology and tasawwur, so that they can understand that we need to establish whatever that you study or you do the research. We need to do that within the paradigms of Islamic framework rather than from the paradigms of the Western ethnocentric framework, right? So apart from that, therefore, we have the approach. We have our own approach to Islamic development management, which is called a non-accommodative modification methodology approach. And alhamdulillah, many of us, especially Dr. Shukri, always criticize the approach which is adopted by many of our Islamic scholars in Islamic economics, Islamic, and all in other fields, which use the accommodative modification methodology approach. What do we mean by this? Accommodative means that you accommodate the Western ethnocentric thinking. You take whatever from the West, which you think is relevant, also beneficial for the Ummah. You accommodate that, and you try to modify. You try to modify according to the so-called Islamic doctrines by choosing the nas, whether Quranic verses or the Sunnah of Rasulullah SAW. You inject that nas within the paradigms of the Western ethnocentric thinking that you accommodate. And then you used the Western ethnocentric methodology to use that. And eventually, you will say that, look, this is the Islamic, whatever, Islamic economics, Islamic sociology, yeah, Islamic politics, or whatever, by doing that. So we don't like that. Yeah, we're not happy with that, because once you don't really separate yourself from the Western ethnocentric paradigms, then you sit trapped within that framework, within that paradigms, and you are not contributing to Islam. You are actually just modifying it, yeah, to give a stronger justification to the truth of the Western thinking. I think this is wrong, yeah, because by doing as if that you are actually you think that you are doing something good for Islam, but actually not. You are actually strengthening the thinking of the Western ethnocentric thinking by accommodating their thinking and then modifying it by giving justification based on Sunnah and also Quranic verses, and then you say that it is Islamic. This is happening in many of the so-called Islamic fields, especially Islamic economics. I think Dr. Shukri has written a lot on this, and a few more writings on this. So kita tak suka itu, ya, tak suka itu. And then apart from that also, we, as what I've said just now, we have to construct. Yeah, our construct must be based from within the Islamic paradigms. Yeah, we have to revive Islam from within the kalau we always give the example of a tree, for instance. Yeah, you are not actually trimming the branches of the tree, hoping that the tree will bring a new kind of fruits. But what we are doing here is just to kill the tree and then bongkeh all the akar, all the roots of the tree, and then we need to tanam a new tree. Maknanya we need to do away with all the Western Islamic, the Western ethnocentric thinking, and then we need to plant our own Islamic development management from the Islamic paradigms. Itulah. So probably one wonders, if that, do you reject the Western ethnocentric thinking at all? No, actually, we're not rejecting in the sense of learning. We need to know all the Islamic, all the Western ethnocentric thinking. But we are not accepting it. We criticize that, and then we come up with an Islamic our own Islamic management based on our Islamic philosophical and epistemological underpinnings within the Islamic paradigm, inshallah. And lastly, it is applicable whenever we establish and construct Islamic development management. We must get away from just construct that from a theoretical perspective. We need to think of applicable hands-on, which can be realized and also can be adapted at the ground, so that development can be enhanced an Islamic way, inshallah. So when we talk about development, the applicability of the development management, we need to understand the two terms that has been used by the conventional development theorists. Number one is what they call the development administration. Number two is the development management. Dia ada beza tu antara development administration and development management. The concept development administration has been used in especially 1960s, 70s, and 80s. While after that, in the 90s, they started to turn it to the development management rather than development administration. What are the differences between the two? The development administration usually concentrate on the responsibility of the development authorities, especially the government. And they only talks about a project. So they only talks about the plannings of the project, the implementation of the project, the evaluation of the project, the monitorings of the project. Yeah, so it just go around on the projects, and the stakeholders are only the governments, the authority, the ministries, and all that. But then during the late 80s and also early 90s, they started to realize that actually it's not the responsibility of the government sahaja in doing the development, but then there must be civil society, yeah, NGOs, the private sectors and all that must include in that, and therefore they are actually not just administrating the project, but also to look at the whole picture of the development process, the development cycles. So that's why we use also development management, because we are not only narrowing our perspective on just the development projects, but we look at it from the whole perspective of the development process. And then it includes many stakeholders, from the governments to the private sectors to the NGOs to the societies, and that's why towards 1990s we can see the involvement of the people and the concept of popular participation at the grassroots level. So they started to talk about the bottom-up approach rather than just the top-down approach. Right? So that's all I think I need to say. Why Islamic development management at ISDEV, and also what do we mean by Islamic development management? Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.